Hi, and welcome to this Java language tour. I'm Norman McIntyre. Let's get started. Let's begin with an introduction. I'd like to welcome everyone for being here. I know there are many places where you could be spending your time in this amazing world. So I sincerely appreciate you spending time here. My promise to you is this: the time spent here will be an investment in yourself, an investment in your Java language skill set. So it'll be a great review of the key Java skills. What follows is an exciting hands-on tour of the Java language. So my recommendation is, as you're watching this video, you also have your browser open and you follow along, entering the Java code as I show it here. This is unlike any you've experienced before as far as touring the Java language. We're going to begin with concepts, we're going to do coding, and then the certification would be the test you have at the end of this. Anytime you see this transition, it's a good time to take a short break. That means we're transitioning from one topic to the other. So let's begin with some concepts. Java is one of the top programming languages in the world, and it's been like that for many, many years. It's widely used in all kinds of computer hardware. It could be embedded computer hardware, things like gas pumps, ATMs, and so forth. It could be mobile device, could be a desktop, could be a server. And certainly a ton of Java code is running on cloud-based systems in today's world of cloud-based computing. So let's start up Java on a cloud-based Linux system. Simply point your browser to https://repl.it. Now this is an amazing site because just by pointing your browser there, you can start writing Java code, as we'll see here in a moment. Click on Start Coding, and when you do that, it'll ask you to sign up. The account's free, so you can go ahead and create an account and sign up. And it's pretty cool because notice you didn't have to install anything. You just point your browser and go. For this first one, let's call it Java Review. And so what you'll do when you say you want to create a new project, a new REPL, you'll have the choose Java. Now notice this particular site has many, many computer languages. In fact, it's probably got 50 or more computer languages. So the observation here, we're going to choose Java, and on the left you see I've selected Java, and then let's name this one Java Tour, so Java-Tour, and then click on the Create REPL. And that way, by the way, REPL stands Read, Evaluate, Print, and Loop, and it's a common way of from the command line how a system will process your commands. They read them, they evaluate them, they print the results, and then they loop and do it again. So click on Create REPL. So you've got your project. When you click on that REPL, you'll see you've got sections. On your screen, you'll see 3 sections. So on the left, you'll see the name of your file, and notice this Main.java. In the middle part of the screen, we have our initial Java code, the Main.java. You see we have some code there automatically generated for us. And then on the right side of the screen, this is our console. We can actually type commands on the console, and this is also where our output will be generated when we run our code. In fact, speaking of running the code, just click on the green Run button. And just by doing that, what will happen, first, the javac command will run, that is the Java compiler will compile your code, and then the Java command will actually run it. And in fact, we see on the right side of the screen, we see the javac command, we see the Java command, and finally we see our hello world, which is the automatically generated code. So we've, within just a few moments, created our first so-called hello world Java program. Now you can also compile and run from the command line. So notice if I click on the console and I say javac, which is the Java compiler, main.java, then it will compile that for me. And then I can run it by saying Java, which starts up the virtual machine, Java main, and notice it says hello world. So sometimes we'll do things from the command line, and this is an example of how you can do that. Now you can check your version of Java from the command line. Notice if I do javac -version, it prints out the version that we're using. In this case, notice it says it's javac 11. So we've got version 11 of the Java compiler. Also, down at the bottom, notice the Java -version. Here we're asking what's the version of the virtual machine, of the Java virtual machine. And notice in this case, we're using the OpenJDK. This is the open source Java Developers Kit. Also notice this is built for Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a very popular Linux distribution. So we just mentioned that the Java compiler is javac, and the javac, it compiles the Java code into Java bytecode. So the Java bytecode is then executed by the Java virtual machine, that is the JVM, and by typing Java, it executes this Java bytecode. Now from a command line view, the two commands you want to make sure you know is javac, which is the Java compiler, and then Java, which is the Java virtual machine. Now, all of this starts with a source code file, and the source code file ends with a .java file extension. So what I'd like you to do is select all that source code, that is where it says class main and so forth, select all of that and delete it. That's right, I want to start with a totally empty file, main.java. Also, go to your console and use the Linux rm command. Rm stands for remove, and you're going to remove the Main.class file. Now ignore the details of the Main.class file for now. We'll cover that more in a moment. But right now the rm Main.class will remove that file. You can use the Linux ls command. Ls stands for listing, so it lists the files that are in your directory. The ls command, you can confirm that the only file in your project right now is main.java. That is your source code, and of course we know main.java is empty. Now even though it's empty, do a javac main.java. So we're trying to compile an empty file. The javac compiler compiles the main.java into Java bytecode, and so it always looks at your code, takes it, and then compiles it. So here, when we say Java main, thinking we have got something to run, notice it could not find the main class. So when we say Java main, we get an error saying could not find or load the main class called main. And notice also it says we've got a java.lang.class not found exception. Now there's no surprise here because we know that in our file we had an empty file, and so when we compiled it there was really nothing to be generated. But the key observation here is that when you type Java space main, it's looking for a class. It's looking for a class, in this case called main, and if it does not find it, which it doesn't find it here, we get an exception, a java.lang.class not found exception. We'll be talking about one of the key features of the Java language is it handles errors by throwing exceptions, and this is a good example of that. Java.lang class not found exception. The java.lang is actually called a package, and inside this package, the java.lang package, is a class called class not found exception. And so obviously it did not find it, and we knew that, but it's still good to see this initial error message, knowing how when the JVM, that is the Java command, starts up, it looks for a given class. So the Java source file is named main.java, And the output of this, we should have a class